Greetings and welcome to Court in Session, podcast hosted by yours truly, Justis Hype. This isn't the court of law. This is the court of personal experience and personal observation, and of course, factual evidence, where many different subjects will be examined. Now, on this first episode, we bring into the court something that has been very hot, viral on the internet and within the African and Caribbean diaspora. That is the 2022 Grammy Awards, specifically the 2022 Reggae Awards. And I would like to congratulate Soulja on their win, and of course all the nominees. And a lot's being said, of course. There's a lot of opinions and a lot of outcry, mainly of racial base or foundation. And of course we know that race plays and racism plays a lot in almost every facet of life. But in this particular case, I don't believe racism or race is the overlying issue, and I'll explain why. Reggae is universal. Yes, we all know it was originated in Jamaica by Jamaicans, but as we know, reggae is a mixture of ska, mento, and even American bebop. So even in its inception, reggae is a mixing pot from a place in which the slogan is out of many one people. So we have to examine that carefully. And of course, reggae has had many ambassadors, international ambassadors, from Bob Marley to Peter Tosh, Dennis Brown, and the list goes on and on. These people have taken the music and put it on international platforms in which the world has embraced it many and many times over, and many in different forms. And now we even see where musicians are benefiting, and have been benefiting for decades, based off of reggae vibe, reggae culture. So, and even going further in the race, we've had white artists that have been popular and very successful internationally. UB40 comes to mind first and foremost. Red Wine with Yellow Man. We have Snow out of Canada. You know, of course, I Would Do Anything. That single is an international hit that'll play anywhere, any time, and get a forward from real hardcore, authentic reggae fans. Then moving up the line, we have Collie Buddz from Bermuda. We have Gentleman from Germany. All in which are highly talented and proven artists in the diaspora. So the case for race here doesn't really apply. I just feel that the award should be based on talent and the quality of the product that's presented to the people. Now also we have to examine the fact that there's business at hand, and business is not just music, it's music business. So there is a need to bring in sales, exposure, streams, things of these sorts. Now, Soulja, and congratulations once again to Soulja on their win, was established in 1997, and they're from Arlington, Virginia, and apparently has been around for quite some time. I wasn't aware of this band. I had to listen, do some research and listen to the actual album And as a matter of fact, I listened and re-listened to all the albums that were nominated. And I would like to once again congratulate all the nominees. All the albums were quality, I would say. Good pieces of work, you know. None of them great, none of them exceptional. I will say that. And in re-listening, it reminded me why I stopped buying albums, like maybe around the early 2000s. There was about that period of time where I just stopped buying whole albums. I think I started, of course, everything started moving to a more digital space, so singles were more readily available online. And so I recall listening to albums and there only being 4 or 5 tracks that really stood out, that were really exceptional, that I would return to and would get continuous play, whether in my vehicle or just throughout the day as I'm doing what I do. And so there was, and I know this has been something that's common within the music listeners community, which is quite vast, obviously. The way we consume music, of course, the digital era's changed the way we listen to music, the way we consume music, and that is also a ripple effect on the business. So here we are in a space where it's unfortunately not going to be all about the quality of music when awards of these sorts are issued out. There has to be other factors taken into effect. So, in saying that, you know, we gotta educate ourselves on the Academy itself also, and how the Grammy Awards are actually decided. There is an Academy of approximately 13,000 people that represent what is called the Grammy Academy, and these are the people who actually have the votes. Now, there's an interesting dialogue on Nightly Fix. You can check that out on YouTube with the producer of the Soulja album, and which is called Beauty in Silence, by the way. And basically she was breaking down how the Academy is structured and what goes into the voting process. And it would be beneficial for a lot of the people who are bawling out and crying injustice, and that your favorite artists were robbed. Many are saying Spice was robbed, and that Jamaican artists in general were robbed. We need to examine and understand that whole process, and understand the fact that we as a community, and that is the reggae dancehall community, is very poorly represented when it comes to the Grammy Academy. And this is a major reason why the artists that we revere and feel dominate the genre are not awarded, are not highlighted in the proper manner. Now, in my research as Soulja, I came to find out that they have quite a broad fan base that is not only relegated to the United States, or even the West Coast, the California reggae market, which is highly flourishing right now. If for those who may not be aware, that for quite some time now, as a matter of fact, California specifically has had a highly flourishing reggae and roots market. Some of the world's biggest reggae festivals are held annually in California, and some of the most popular and successful bands are coming out of California, specifically in the West Coast of the United States. So Soulja falls in line with that category of groups and artists that are currently quite successful internationally on the reggae scene. And listening to their album, like, the first thing that came to mind was like Carnival cruise ship reggae. You know, nothing harmful. You know, everything just Irie mind. You know, just sipping daiquiris on the beaches of on a resort, on the grill, and just something that the Jamaica Tourist Board would probably use, or any tour or travel agency would use to promote to foreign tourists to Jamaica. You know, music very upbeat, watered down reggae. Quite frankly, to me, reggae has a pulse, reggae has a soul, a vibration. Another thing I may add is that many of us are actually deeply detached and long detached from the actual essence of what reggae is and what it was started for and about, and that's revolution and equal rights and justice. You know, it's a rebel music, a revolutionary music, and at this point in time, that in itself has been watered down, and we can't blame outsiders. And when I say outsiders, once again, that's not a racial thing. When I say outsiders, I mean those who are outside of the understanding of the diaspora. Those who are not deeply rooted in the culture, don't understand the culture. We have to represent that. We can't leave that in the hands of those on the outside to represent us and what we stand for. You know what I mean? So once again, I think the burden of blame has to be placed on us from the grassroots up, where the sales. I noticed that not only that this group Soulja does huge tours, huge festivals, huge shows, but their streams are up as well, and they're selling units. You know, as I listened, re-listened to all the projects that were nominated, I couldn't help but notice that the streams weren't the same, and obviously the sales aren't the same, because the music isn't being purchased. The music might be shared, but the music isn't purchased. I heard a lot of people, and there's a lot of hate and disdain. Social media also changed the way we rate, or in this case, since we're in court, judge our artists. Some people gravitate to artists because of their personality, and their social media, quite frankly, is maybe entertaining or in some way appealing to them. Whereas back in the days, it was just mainly about the music and how popular the artist was based on the music. If they had a hit song or not, if they were popping in the dance hall or not, if they were popping on the radio or not. Now it could be an artist has a scandal and they are popping. An artist is good at marketing themselves online and now they're popping. But that doesn't equate to sales. You know, that definitely doesn't equate to sales in any way. So that also has to be examined. Spice's album was good, not great. She has a lot of critics, and I applaud Spice for making it to the level that she's made it to, just based on all the hurdles that she's had to climb. One, being a woman, also being a woman of dark complexion as well. You know, I think Black Hypocrisy deserved the Grammy Award in itself as a single, if anything. You know, her album, and most of these albums were heavily feature laden. A lot of features on these albums. You know, Shaggy, Sean Paul on her album. Those Spice gets a lot of critique for being one-dimensional in her content. In the intro, SPICE, she did break down her background and of course showed her lyrical versatility, which we can't deny. Spice, a very talented artist, and that has worked very hard. And I think also Spice as a performer deserves recognition because she goes all out on stage and delivers a top class performance anywhere she goes, and that in itself is talent that deserves accolade and award. So her album was decent, but not a great album. Another thing with a lot of these albums, they showed a lot of versatility. They weren't just reggae or roots or what is called dancehall traditionally. I heard a lot of blending of genres, using some hip hop and some funk, Afrobeat, a lot of Afrobeat on these albums. As I mentioned, that like even Sean Paul, very, very feature laden album. You know, I mentioned Afrobeat. He had Stonebwoy on his album, which is also featured on Itana's album, and if I'm not mistaken, Jesse Ryer's album as well. Don't quote me on that. I may have that one mixed up. But there's a lot of blending of genres and a lot of collaborations on these albums. And I say that to say that features are normally used to expand the marketing and the overall reach of the album. The idea is to put two fan bases together. That's why artists collaborate, and you would think by that that would generate more revenue and more interest and more sales, but that doesn't seem to be the case, and that's why we once again have to point the finger back on ourselves. You know, there's a lot of talk about artists not collaborating with one another, and I noticed on Sean Paul's album he collaborated with from the young to the old, you know, from Lugaman, original Dirty Cup, Busy Signal, Intense, Left Side. Buju is on the album, Junior Gang, Governor, Serrani. I mentioned Stonebwoy, Bugle, Movado, Skilly Bang, Massacre. Honestly, Sean Paul's album was like a dancehall. It was like a compilation, not even like an album. It was like Sean Paul and Friends, a compilation. So, you know, And Sean Paul, not for nothing, Sean Paul has been very consistent in delivering stellar music right across the board throughout his career, nonstop. You know what I mean? He has also delved into like the Latin market and gone reggaeton, but still he always keeps the essence of the culture, which is dancehall. And I always say like Sean Paul, of course he has an advantage with uh, his skin tone and being able to visually be more cohesive internationally. Definitely. But also, me personally, I always felt like Sean Paul, voice wise, was the voice reincarnate of Supercat. And that voice is just platinum. You know what I mean? So, and not to take any away thing from Sean Paul, he himself delivers and performs very well. So big up to Sean Paul. Jesse Royal's album, decent album, good, not great once again. You know, Vibes Cartel was featured and a few others. 11 tracks is decent, and there's maybe like 3 or 4 tracks all in all that I'd probably go back and listen to. Same thing I say for Itana's album. Not my favorite vocalist, but always consistent in delivering uplifting quality music, and it's been around for quite some time. So big up to Itana. She deserves a lot of credit, you know. And who else we have? Gramps Morgan, who I feel songwriting, honestly, alone on the songwriting, deserved the Grammy Award. Quality music, once again, Morgan Heritage for years, for decades now, has been stellar in reggae, dancehall, as far as delivering quality music over and over again. And Gramps Morgan, who I always say is the voice reincarnate of Peter Tosh, has delivered quality, stellar music throughout his career. So his album, once again, I think there's actually some tracks that could qualify for country, I believe. To be honest, the vibes and just the songwriting. The name of the album is Positive Vibration, if you want to check that out. Yeah, his album was good. Maybe out of the 15 tracks on it, maybe there are 4 or 5 that stuck once again with me. But nonetheless, that doesn't mean that the album's trash. That just means, that to me personally, and the way it seems to the general public, there's nothing there that really stood out, and other than maybe a few singles, obviously, that people gravitated to, or videos that were out there that might have gone viral and gotten a lot of views, but just lacking in all bangers. So in wrapping this up, I think we need to look deeply into how we structure our genre and how we support our genre if we're looking to get. The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Moving forward, we need to understand that the survival of our genre as we know it is dependent on self-sustenance, self-reliance, self-support. Full circle back to the teachings of Marcus Garvey, but I shall not digress. We need our own platforms, we need our own publications, we need our own radio stations, and we need our own award shows. But all of this goes full circle back to what I just said: self-reliance, self-support, self-sustenance. Thank you all for joining this first episode of Court in Session. I welcome you to join us again as we delve into many more different subjects. Court is now adjourned. Peace and blessings. The definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. At this point, we should understand that we are poorly represented as far as the Academy goes, where the Grammy Awards are concerned. We should also understand that we do not, at this time, support our own genre enough in terms of sales in order to garner the respect of the international community. And oh yes, we have some who are dominating in terms of social media, in terms of following and likes, in terms of streams, in terms of views, but that doesn't necessarily equate to sales, which is the only thing tangible at the end of the day. So we must understand moving forward that first and foremost, in order for our genre, our culture to thrive, that it has to be sustained. And the only sustenance for that is self-reliance and self-support. I myself have been saying for decades that we need our own publications, our own platforms, our own award shows. But once again, all of these things fall back on self-support and self-reliance. So at the end of the day, people are going to say this and say that. I welcome everybody to chime in the comment section as you so feel. But do understand this. The facts remain. The music is not selling, has not been selling. And we can come up with various different reasons, some that are very valid and some are very poor and invalid. But the music just isn't selling. And he who has his own, blessed is the man who has his own. With that being said, I rest my case. Court is adjourned. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned. Much more coming. Peace and blessings. I'm out.